Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. We're going to take another hit here at Terra Luna. See kind of what's going on, best practice and big picture, the whole 9 yards there. And if you are, just say new to the channel, not a financial advisor, keep that in mind. I just love teaching people to trade. I do have a website, of course, that helps you with that, whereas you can become a community member. I actually have a trading community, academy, and signal group. Really awesome experience, kind of your one-stop shop for everything cryptocurrency. Really good experience there. We have over 200 active members presently at this time, and there's a lot of things to do as well once you get signed in. So looking forward to working with you there. Obviously check that out in your own time. Take a look here at Luna. Here's kind of what's going on. Pretty straightforward and simple, but also very unique, you could say, because it didn't do exactly as expected, but it also did something very similar. In other words, when I was talking about this coin yesterday and how typically when you have a retracement and the price pulls back, based on Fibonacci retracement, you're expecting to see the 0.5 level retraced and hit. Okay. Now, if it holds, different story. If it breaks below, then you can expect it to probably consider continuing a lot lower, right? Because again, as low volume or as volume starts to lower, the price will do so as well. We are seeing the inverse here, where the price action came down to test this level for 3 4-hour candlesticks in a row and effectively bounced off of that level. Okay, so 0.5, that $4.70, as I mentioned yesterday, is a point of support now at this point because of the fact that it's held above that level. All right, that's fantastic. What's also important to recognize too is the price action is kind of working itself within these Fibonacci retracement levels. We can see these higher highs here so far forming, and it's mostly positive. Okay, so let's take a look at the larger time frame and work our way down. And first of all, just to note, RSI is overextended. That's kind of goes without saying. And now the likelihood of the price action staying above 70 on the RSI is pretty high. Terra Classic is performing very similarly in that sense, whereas the price action inevitably came down to bounce off of this level and continue upwards. Okay, that is an ascending type of trend that you can see. So what we want to do once we have more data is to start drawing out these ascending trend lines to kind of see where we're at there. But we don't have enough data truly to understand that it's tested multiple levels, because you got to understand, big picture, you want to have more retests of specific key level supports and resistance before you can essentially continue higher or below essentially a trend line. All right. In other words, the larger the time frame, the better, more effective the trend line becomes. Okay. And so we can't just draw a line straight up right here on the daily. It's not going to work very well. So we'll use smaller time frames for that. But again, they're less valid based on the fact that there's less time in that area and there's more volatility with these large candle wicks. I mean, we can see here, just today, in today's trading day, we've seen a 53% correction from bottom to top as a rough estimate. Okay, so that's pretty substantial movement in one trading day, right? Candle wicks included. Now, obviously, it's not quite as much as 200% in one day or almost 300% yesterday, but still very much valid. All right, so again, just something to kind of pay attention to and understand. Take a look here, of course, at the 4-hour. Here's something we got to recognize as well. When it comes to a 4-hour time frame, we are seeing pretty significant levels here, right? So if we just go with the candle wicks alone, we can see we have a nice ascending type of trend here. Now, again, it's not concrete or permanent. If it breaks below that, it's not going to be the end of the world. It just kind of tentatively tells us it's going to continue higher, right? So I'll just put that on there for now. A lot of times what can happen is the price action will continue to retest levels and then break to the upside once we get through that resistance. And it does appear that the resistance level right here at about 650 is seemingly quite consistent so far in the last 8 hours. Again, limited data, not the most information that we can pull upon and kind of use in the overall sense of things. That's why I like Terra Classic. It's been moonshotting for 5 to 10, 15, 20 trading days. It's been trading for quite some time. At least trending in the upward direction. We have more data to pull on, right? That's the kind of the concept I'm trying to drive home, I guess, here. Regardless, if you don't understand that, that's perfectly fine. But what we want to take a look at here, of course, in the next anticipation is the price action coming down here to bounce off 70 on the RSI. So hopefully it will do that, and the price action will just naturally continue sideways as the RSI comes down. That'll tell us that we have a more likelihood of a break to the upside. Okay, so that's a positive sign there. We want the RSI to relax and calm down, but again, not something that's super telling for the moment. One thing that is partially telling, and this is something that's a pretty common characteristic in a lot of trading, cryptocurrency, traditional markets, foreign exchange, the whole 9 yards, everything is essentially works within its own limitations. In other words, what goes up must come down. That whole higher highs and higher lows, or lower highs, lower lows, that all essentially it's a uniform type of system. In other words, the price comes up here, you can expect it to correct itself at least to a small extent sometime inevitably. What I'm getting at is that we were seeing a 9 on TD sequential, basically telling us that we've had a 9 4-hour time frames. In other words, that is 36 hours of continuation to the upside without any decrease in value. Now let me rephrase that. It's not without. Trust me, we're seeing some candle wicks down, so it's definitely doing a good job of consolidating and making it a healthy continuation. However, you got to recognize that when you hit a 9 on TD sequential, it's common for the price action to turn itself around for at least a short while, or at the very least, consolidate sideways. So what I'd love to see is the price action kind of consolidate sideways at this resistance here at about 640, 650, then inevitably break to the upside with kind of an ascending type of trend. Now let me go and remove this here, just kind of give you a better perspective. A lot of times what will happen is you'll see a type of flag or pennant pattern, right, where the price action comes up, continues to work itself into a wedge, inevitably breaks out because there's a lot of buying pressure at a specific area, and the shorts are no longer willing to short. They're closing their position because there's too much buying pressure. Then it causes a short squeeze and the price action shoots up. We could very well see that. It does look like it's wanting to consolidate at that area. So just something to kind of pay attention to there. If we continue to see some consolidation sideways, it'd be very healthy. It's a good sign. Even if it were to retrace and come back down and bounce off this next key level Fibonacci of $5.40, also equally perfectly fine. Okay, that's actually a good sign because it would be making higher lows, and we want to see that happen. Okay, again, still a little early to tell, but let's see if the hourly gives us any other indication. Now, this is something that's important and helpful, right? Kind of reiterating the fact that we are seeing higher lows and higher highs. Okay, so even though we got these crazy little candle wicks that are occurring from time to time, we can see, of course, as price is starting to naturalize and work itself into an ascending type of pattern. This is fantastic. This is exactly what we're looking for. We want to have these ascending type of channels, right? That's where the price action continues to increase and inevitably breaks to the upside in most cases. All right, so again, we're looking at a larger probability of the price action continuing higher from here than it is to go lower. You just got to recognize that we did hit, a 9 on TD sequential on the 4-hour, and then recently hit a 9 here before it took off and got rejected. So that does give us a little, confirmation, so to speak, that the price action, while it wants to increase, it may not have enough time to do so yet. In other words, we might need a little bit more time for it to naturally correct itself and continue higher from there. Again, these are all things that should happen. Do they happen in cryptocurrency? Not always. Crypto has a tendency of defying the laws of trading in most cases, so just keep that in mind. We take a look here, of course, as well. We can kind of see that the lagging span is intersected with the price action, so hypothetically, if you have a long position open, you should have taken some profits by now because it's losing its momentum. That's what the cloud is telling you. I'm not telling you to close your position. I'm not saying that. I do feel like we have more potential for the price action to continue higher than it would go lower, but it doesn't mean that it wouldn't still pull back a little bit to one of these two Fibonacci retracement levels and then bounce. Right? There's that as well. Keep in mind that the cloud is consolidating itself, or essentially, forming right in the range of these two lower Fibonacci retracement levels. So again, if the price action continues sideways and bounces off that level, perfectly fine. In fact, it would make sense for the price action to bounce off 540 if it were to retrace any further, right? And that'd be perfectly fine if it did that. So again, those are all good signs. There's literally nothing that really adverse here, minus the fact that obviously we're overextended on some of the larger time frames, and that can cause somewhat of a pullback. But the fact that it survived this pullback yesterday and did so well and consolidated at that support level of 0.5 on Fibonacci and continued higher, that gives me some really good confidence knowing that Luna could be back on track. All right. So again, just something to kind of think about, big picture. We'll obviously review this consistently. This is one of my larger requested coins, so I'll cover this more frequently. I greatly appreciate the request, of course. And again, if you're not currently a community member, consider becoming one. CryptoCache.tech is a website, link in the description below, where you can become a better trader to effectively help you get where you need to go. Again, support community, trading academy, and of course, trading signals as well for all the trades that I take, so you can kind of share in that success. All right, so that's kind of where we're at there. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.